Thank you. Some very interesting ideas. I like how you, before the octaves, you have that very abrupt stop here, fermata. That's very interesting. Maybe you should keep that. That seems like a very, very good idea, very fresh. I don't know why you need to do the tremolo in the end. I just don't like to rewrite Liszt. I think Liszt knew how to write, and I find, personally, each of us is different. You can do what you want, of course. You look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, and you ask yourself if, we know that he was a great improviser, so by no means we know that when he sight read at the Salon of Rossini, some of the new piano pieces that late Rossini was writing far after he stopped writing, after 1829, Rossini from the kitchen was heard saying, "That guy is a devil," because he was sight reading and at the same time he was incorporating new notes and reaching the passages in double thirds and doing all kind of stuff that were not really the aim of Rossini. So it was a romantic practice of great improvisers sometimes to be able to already add notes or maybe improve upon a piece. But I'm not Liszt. So I have, we do something with Bach, we do something with Haydn and Mozart sometimes and so on. It gets a little bit difficult to add to Liszt. And I know people do that also in the Dante sonata. They're not content to break the piano in the fortissimo down here with the last note, but they add the tremolos to make it more orchestral. Yeah, but if he wanted it orchestral, he wrote it for orchestra, period, right? So there are some effects that are very beautiful, and Liszt knew how to write tremolos. Just look at the transcription of the last scene of Tristan und Isolde. Wagner, right? All of this as tremolo. So he knew perfectly how to write tremolos, right? So he could have written the tremolo if he wanted it. I think he really had, this idea of ending with a tim, tim, tim. A chord is different from a tremolo, in the sense that in the recitative that precedes this apotheosis at the end, he writes con somma espressione. I can't translate somma. It is not sum, S-U-M. It is not. It's, what do you say? What do you say?
Total, absolute.
Yeah, I guess, yes. But in the language it implies something very reverent, very divine, so with very reverent and intense expression. So the chords have a certain majestic feeling, whereas the tremolo is, I don't know, it's different. It protracts the sound, and so it transforms into something that is not, into something else. That's mainly the reason, not because we shouldn't adorn the works of Liszt. There are some places where even in the Rhapsody it's possible to add cadenzas. I don't have enough experience, and therefore I don't take a chance. One cadenza was found, for example, that could fit one of the Rhapsodies, and Anyway, so this is, this is an idea. There are a lot of remainders in this music of maybe other works by Liszt. In some ways, when you see the writing, rhythm, all this stuff reminds me of the Liszt second concerto, and even in the way he treats the very close. There are memories of other pieces, and we know that there was a certain influence by Chopin. You know, after Chopin wrote his Berceuse, even when Chopin died especially, there was an outpouring of compositions with titles and in the style of the period, you know, the Polonaises. Liszt wrote a Berceuse, by the way. It's not played very often, but there is a beautiful piece by Liszt called Berceuse. Does this remind you of something? You have these very interesting writing of with the same rhythm as in Chopin Polonaise, right? So there are, you know, this is not trivia really to try to find at all cost certain things that belong to other composers. But it's very interesting that there are these moments. And also, there are memories of his own music, I find, other music. Did this ring to your ear when you play? Is that the one? In the Liszt sonata. Yeah, something in the air, you know, even when you're... I'm transposing, but this is the Liszt sonata. Or it could have gone... the sonetto. It's quite interesting, you know. So what we are doing here is not really to play a quiz, but it's to identify certain things that belong to the style of Liszt. And this, for me, is recitative, which you find in the Liszt first piano concerto. But so there is a sense of recitative, and the recitative, unfortunately, it's something that all pianists, all of us, have difficulties with, because we are simply not singers, and we have not studied, not experienced what it means to sing a recitative in opera. If I try it, even in my own language, and I try the Mozart opera and I try the recitative, I would probably sound very stupid. I would follow the text, you know, and so in other words, it's way, way too literal. And the recitative is not meant to be literal. That's one of the most difficult things. So we will get to that. But I think we want to keep it in mind because it's an important part of the music. Now, the beginning, I know you have observed the mezzo forte indication of Liszt. Is there a difference between... First of all, the pause, which later he omits, right? He goes on to, now we're so the pause has a meaning, and you have to find what the meaning is for the pause. The next thing that I find very interesting in this text, of course, the accentuation. But then I ask myself, are these phrases the same? And then he starts. Should the second be a little bit above the first, or a little bit less? I don't know. I simply think in terms of orchestration. I think that these are strings. You could think different. You could think that this is a choir of French horns, or brass, pianissimo, which is very hard on the brass, by the way, And the beautiful thing about a choir of brass is that generally, remember what Strauss wrote in his small decalogue of rules, regulations for conductors. Do not look at the trombones, it only encourages them. Don't look. In other words, they're going to play fortissimo right away. So usually they have really a lot of power. So when you play a choir, good luck at trying, to have the secondary voices play it less, because they all play out. But let's look at the positive side of a choir, of a brass choir. Each voice is important. So maybe sometimes you were playing too much soprano. And if you hear, all the voices with a little bit more, 10% more soprano, it gives you a better result because it's much more dense. That's what I would do. Let's try this very opening. There is one last thing I wanted to tell you. Liszt is also very aware of his slurs. So why does he write a pickup note again? 4 quarters, there is an anacrusis that starts. So we have the D bar line. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. End of the slur. The second time he writes tim, tim, and then he begins a 3-note slur in portato, and so he splits the slur. So we have, and then we have another slur. What is the meaning of that? It has a meaning. My sense is that the first slur, being longer, achieves even more continuity, and this one crafts the melody by showing that this, and then more. For me, maybe there is a bit more accentuation on the second on the second note. Here. And now an accent here. Then he changes that and he goes back to the earlier slur. So longer phrase. And all of those are a little bit different. It's hard to interpret this, but you have to try to make some sense and wonder why he was so picky with the writing there. Can we try one more time? And maybe you could try to play the second more. I hear a different rhythm between the first, the second and third note have one rhythm, but the first and second are slower. Like, if you use this fingering, you achieve perfect legato. Even I would consider, because otherwise try to play legato, but in time, like 3, 4, 1. That's already a lot of sound as a mezzo forte for me. You can, yes. Good. And then you have to try to find, I don't mean to be picky about these things, but this is a legend, or, it's a, the theme is a religious theme, of course, where God is supposed to assist his disciples by walking on the waves, it says in French, not walking on water, but waves. So there are waves already in the title, which is very interesting, Wogen and flow. And so because of this, we should do that in the tone of a legend. Do you remember the I can't remember the key suddenly. Yeah, I wonder if it's in the right key. Anyway, but at least that's the melody, right? So there comes in legenden tone, he writes, in the tone of a legend. So there is, and in fact, it's very interesting that even Schumann, when he writes legend, well, everybody plays an octave. So there is a non-committal attitude to harmony. We don't know precisely what the harmony is, we may imply, but there should be a quality in this mezzo forte that's a bit more pensive and a bit more, I'd say, more religious in some ways. I don't know, more spiritual. Bit calmer even. Can you try? Count. You cut all the pauses. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You come on 4. Yes, maybe it's because you're too soprano oriented. See if you can do the middle voice a little more like a. Mix like a good painter. Mix the colors of the middle voice with the soprano. Try again. And the goal being this. So these re, so, mi, don't disconnect them. Think of. There should be a descent towards that. Feel it in the do. Otherwise they become. They walk. Instead, descend to the B. You play the piano too much. I think you should sing. You know what Chopin did to his students who were not too vocal? He sent them to a voice teacher. He menaced to send them. I don't know if he sent them, but there was the menace of Chopin saying, I'll send you to voice lessons, You should really, really try to sing this passage one time. I won't make you sing, but why not? I did. Let's sing it together. 1, 2, 3. Re, di, ra, re, do, re. Can you try? Together. And re, di, do, re, do, re, do, re. Now imitate what you just did. Re, di, do, re. There is more flow already. 1, 2, 3. Bravo. And of course, I see each finger going about 2 millimeters on top of the key. I don't think you need it. You can, yeah, exactly. Bravo. But don't change tempo, it's getting slower. He writes non troppo lento. That's interesting that you wrote that, You already told us somebody's going to play slower, so I'm going to write not too slow. And of course, what do? We play too slow. Just observe the indication of the composer, yeah? It's very smart. Go, diminuendo, bravo. Tira, and but we are at the beginning of the piece, so don't pound too much. Just remember, it's mezzo forte, but it's mezzo forte down here, which is already forte, so it should be a lot less. Bravo, that's it. little tension with the E. Take time for here. Oh, you do legato with the pedal instead of legato with your fingers. You go like good pedal, wonderful. But can you do legato with your finger? Why not 3/4, by the way? Down, up. All of these. That's right, because it does the diminuendo a lot better physically when you do that. Good. Good. That's all very, it's getting a little too loud, but beautiful. Now this tone, I know, we want to hear it. And that's the difficulty. It's special, no, it's not. But if you can make it like, you know, like you're trying to see something through water, but it's already polluted.
Should I
So,
put it on pedal or should
at least the beginning. I would take the last two notes without pedal, but begin with the and then that. Yeah, because you were doing almost without pedal, all of it. It's beautiful, but it's a little bit too distant from the texture, yes. Balance the soprano. See? Here. Bravo, that was beautiful. Bass. Here, I am missing something, you know, the central part of the keyboard. It's kind of. I think you need a bit of the. A little, yeah, because otherwise it's a little bit too poor between. See, it misses. Sorry. All of those. I try. Good. And out of all of these notes you play so beautifully, I try to bring out maybe this. So I would keep the. Yeah, because I think you retake the pedal, you go like a. But. It's too clear. It's too clear, it's too clear. It's too clear. It's a wave. What you are. Yeah, you are making it more solid. The molecule in water are loose. And that's why it's water. And you're making it too clear. I can see it. I can see it like I can see a stone and another stone. And those are hard molecules, you know, connected. Yes, instead you want a bit confusing. Maybe a bit. That's why maybe sometimes there is a little bit of impressionism that one can see, not only in the late Liszt, but these special effects that one can see. It's the beginning, you know. He was quite far forward thinking in some ways. Try. Good. Yes. Probably it's also about how you can imagine your chromatic scale with a more relaxed finger, so that you feel more like glissando, like this. You know, we are not so far from Ondine, you know. Yeah, that's right. So don't basically pick the finger and with your flexors, so don't flex the fingers when you play, but keep them more relaxed. A little bit like that. Yes. Yes. So there should be actually I know it's very fast, and the finger wants to become aggressive, right? Taka, 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 taka. But actually you have to maintain the finger as if it were. So almost as though you don't see the finger moving. Minimum movement of the finger. Try. Good. When you play it's very beautiful, much, much better. Now this, you sit quite far, that's fine. When you do this, so you can do, I think it's here the problem. If you can balance yourself on the wrist and do, like you're doing this and this and this, like you're trying to get up. You get up with your hand, you know, in a way. Yes, yes. So if you see these movements, it will not do like 1, 2, 3. These are too net, too clear. This is more like a wave in the movement, and that makes the connection. Basically, it lifts the key more slowly. That's the secret, and therefore the damper will. Now, if I go, it lifts it makes the damper go on the string way too fast because I lift the key too fast. So, even if you have the pedal, it still makes a difference. If you, it makes a difference physically in your brain too. It makes you feel like you are part of the water yourself. Even the long, what is it? This. If you continue to move on a long chord, like this, it's a watery motion instead of. That's solid, but this. Try again from. Yeah? Can you try again? Beautiful. It's too fast. I feel your eighth notes are too fast, and therefore they come out of the acoustic feeling of. There you go. Now, I think I need more of that, actually. Yes, if you listen to, say, Alfred Cortot, you never miss a bass. There is an Alfred Cortot recording of this. That's, I don't know, the recording technique is so different. It's almost as though he's not using the pedal in many ways. You heard that recording, right? Okay, so you can, but he does, I think he does do that. And then you can do, but we don't miss the bass. Good. I don't know your fingerings, but you know, it's possible to split 4 and 4. And then I think you play only one note, maybe in the left hand, or two. Yeah, that tends to create small hits, right? The one note, yeah, because you spread your weight, you don't spread your weight, you put it on one note. Whereas when you play 4, you tend to spread, so you will have an easier time. Anyway, don't change now, but yeah, something like that. And as you get to the lower register, make sure that you change the pedal a little bit more frequently. So these you can do one pad. My sense is that you can go from about a low pressure on the pedal, you know, like to the bottom. You can come up a little bit without making changes in the pedal. So in other words, you go from a distant damper. The rapport between damper and string is distant. And then as you keep, string, right, string and damper. So the damper is a little bit high with a low push on the pedal. And then you keep raising, which means you bring it closer to the string as you get to the bass register. So no need to change so much, but you will have what I said before about hiding the, about this. You can, this is more transparent. But if I put the pedal down, I get, yeah, try. A little higher. Beautiful. Yes, make sure you don't come at the last minute though with your hand. You know, it's parked here in the garage, and then suddenly, whoop, it's not that Tesla. Yeah, okay. And I don't know what notes you're playing. You're playing B, D, B, D, A, B, or no? Oh, you're playing? Ah, to emphasize. Again, what do you need to emphasize? The octave? Like. Yes, yes. So if it says this, why do you add one note? Yes. And then there is the famous letter of Giuseppe Verdi that says, that complains and says, in fact, you know, about all the singers that add the notes by simply stating, you know, much has been said about performance practice, but even in Schöne Müllering, of Schubert, there is an edition by Vogel, who was a great singer who made the music of Schubert very popular. And then there are plenty of letters and notes by Schubert complaining that the edition of Vogel, which was published, and was full of adornments, additional little things to embellish the music. And Schubert said, well, you know, I'm grateful that he makes my music popular, but that's not what I wrote. And clearly complaining about that, there is a letter of Verdi that says, it's possible that it sounds better with all those additions that singers are, you know, all these extra cadenzas and this and that. It's possible, but I did not conceive it, and I wrote it differently. In other words, and I try to do my best to write as much. So take a few of these words. Remember what Ravel says, please do not interpret my music. Do what I wrote. That's another story. That is, you know, the objectivism of the early 20th century that even Stravinsky fell for when he said, please follow my tempi. And then there is a recording by Stravinsky with 3 different tempos. He can't even follow his own tempo markings. Yeah, we have the proof, right? So, but the point is that everybody had, it was a period of, I guess, you know. I'm not trying, by the way, I do add a lot of notes in Mozart too. So I'm not one of those very rigid people who believes that it's not, you know. But I have difficulties with Liszt because by then the writing, you know, at the time of this piece, the writing is so quite precise. So start with what he says, and then maybe when you are 70 years old and you have played a lot of music by Liszt, you might, you know, you might add one bass or whatever. I would be very careful with additions, really. Anyway, it's a different color. He didn't want to do do. He wanted D in the top voice and the leading tone to resolve to E. So that's why. Maybe you can take it out even more from the texture by doing. Beautiful. And every time there is a new bass like that that makes the seventh, make sure you hear it. This one now. This is possible to clear. You know, it's possible to clear up the pedal a little. Yes. It's too soprano oriented. This is the one where you have the octave, so I need the second trombone. Beautiful. Good. Yes, in the ring, it's very beautiful. Don't do them the same though. When you're so fast, this maybe in the rinforzando, maybe, and then yes, beautiful. Forget your thumbs, your thumbs. Can you feel more like you are falling into the key, like, look, with your wrists also, you see this? Moving the elbow. You're doing this a little. You do it very well, but it's not the same sound. Look, 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 look. You're doing, and you're stuck here. Pick it up. What falls first comes up. Otherwise, it can't fall. So yes, yes. And you know, it doesn't have to be too far. But you see, you have this power when you raise not the shoulder, when you raise the elbow, and therefore the whole arm. You can. Otherwise, you limit, you know, a little bit your possibilities. Yeah. Yes. Thumb. Very beautiful. Now, I know you play a lot of these, to make it a little clearer. So decide if sometimes you can, maybe the second time, then maybe the first two notes make sense to hear the bass. But then the thumb also belongs to. you cancel completely the rest of the, you only hear it. Maybe the second time you can bring out maybe. I will play the chord faster. You play. You do that, right? That's right, and that means in these arpeggios that the arm can move more, not less. There, like this. Try. Smaller, slower movement basically, and larger, and more continuous movement instead of this. I see it from here. It's quite quick, but you can slow it and create more continuity in the movement, which is water and waves. Yes. Good. This part was very good. I just wanted to ask you about these because you play them well, but so fast. I couldn't hear. I heard. I only heard the kind of the arrivals. I think if you can. But this is such an innovative writing. And with pedal, a little pedal at least. Maybe you could change a little. Yeah, not so clean. A little. Yes, that's very special. If you cancel the, and you only, you kind of don't bring the. It's more interesting to hear the dirt, not only the clarity of the arrival, I think. Try. Yes, exactly. And then, this. The sound changes a lot from the waves now. Maybe softer. No, so. Play this. Imagine that you're moving a bit like a bear. Like this. Yes, that's right. Yes. And then you can, ta-tam, surprise that. You can create more rhythmic excitement by accelerating that passage. Ta-tam. With a very clear change of pedal when you play here. Good. Try not to accelerate the intendo ticka 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 pantatam. Yeah. This one I heard only basically in your performance. I only heard this. Yeah, beginning and ending, but try to show. You have more time. Think orchestrally. Take the time. So actually, even if you play faster, let's say the or sorry, take your time. It even gets slower. Slowest. The last. Right? No, Liszt wants the pedal, so keep it. Wow, it's a much better effect. Yes. So in other words, the rule is before we decide to change a comma or a dot or whatever from the score, first it's our responsibility to try to see what it means first and what it potentially can offer. This is scary, this. It's much more scary. The angels and the underwater. I am convinced that you play faster than Liszt. If Liszt was alive, he would have probably told you, why do you play so fast? It is absolutely incredible that you can play this fast. Now, you could say, I could ask you the question. There was a pianist who once answered the question in the funniest possible way. Somebody said, but why do you play so fast? And the answer was, because I can. It's funny, right? But from the narrative standpoint, that's not an answer, right? Because it's something else. Non legato e più stringento, but I think basically you have to ask yourself, what is this torrent or cascade of octaves about? What is it trying to depict? It is the wave. Often in romantic poetry, the wave is depicted as dark. The dark wave or something. There is something very, very interesting in different cultures. There is often a reference to a dark wave or a color, that cobalt or some dark color in the wave. That is, I don't know, water is often associated. I mean, we don't want to drag in psychologists to tell us what water in dreams or whatever, but water is associated with something often, right? Of various meanings, but it is the symbol behind the octaves that matters to you. So don't think only speed. I know that our brain is so incredibly occupied with having to play the octaves, but for a moment, try to think of a higher purpose. Try to think of a voluptuous wave that's about to splash, and instead of splashing out of the wave, I think is God walking on that wave. And that's, in fact, whether one believes or not, one playing the music of Bach and Liszt, one must believe. It's simple as that. It was truly an inspiration for him when he wrote these pieces. So I think this is really, that's why the music starts very low and ends very high, and the allegro maestoso and animato with these trumpets, pa 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 pam, pa 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 pa, pa 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 pa, right? That's the arrival of God, which is again ta ri da ri ra, with all these triplets which he has used in other works. For example, I'm trying to think of in the Dante Sonata, for example, this writing where you have a melody and an accompaniment in triplet like that, right, with the bass. So try one more time the whole from here, if you don't mind. So play slower. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. Too many this Don diminuendo, you do basically yeah, yes, because somebody told you, which works like that, it's impossible to do a full crescendo. We need a crescendo and then restarting a little lower and another crescendo. And that's true. But if we do too much of that, it sounds funny. La 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 la. Every time you're retaking it somewhere. Play from here one more time from here. And that's your arrival. But even this one you play. You play. Yes. Still the beauty of sound. Don't lock your arm. Elbow, 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 elbow. Here, it's you usually tend to play a little too soon. This pa 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 pam, bidim bidim bidim, pa 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 pam, bidim bidim bidim, pa 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 pa. You play bidim bidim bidim, pa 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 pa, bidim pa 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 pa. Then bidim bidim. I miss the octaves. Could it be in the same? It's so southern, but I kind of like it because it sounds like a trumpet that stops, and it's so quick. I kind of like it. Keep it. Then somebody will complain that it's too much, but I like the startling feeling that it's very new to my ear, so I'll take it. It's a beautiful idea. Now, this was okay. Let's talk briefly about this recitative. This is hard. If we follow what's written, we play. You were literal with counting 1, 2, 3, 4. If he had notated this in small notes, not in small notes, maybe the accompaniment, like this is the you're right with that. This is a bit more forward, this these. You see, I didn't observe. I played the first two a little bit forward, like. Because otherwise it's too much, 50% speed reduction. It sounds impossible for a singer to follow that. It's so natural. So if you sing and you forget what's written, I'm actually telling you to deviate from the text in some ways. Not deviate in a musical way. Think of what Busoni wrote. The text is nothing else than a notion, an idea in the composer minds that needed to have a semblance. For somebody else to read it, it needed to create a semblance through a code. It needed to be codified. In the moment it was frozen into a code, it lost the initial impetus of the idea. So the job of a performer is to unleash the notes in the frozen notation and bring them back to the state of notion again, of what was in the mind initially. Of course, we don't know, but it's a beautiful way of saying it, right? This is bidimensionally frozen. And suddenly we have to, in this case, the writing isn't very helpful to us. So first of all, how lento is lento? After all the big mess that happened before, with the excitement and so on, it's not a lento that is taken out of the freezer the way it was frozen initially, It's a lento that has different meanings. It comes from this very fast... Rim, 2, 3, try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. Ti ta da ta dum dum ti ti do 1 1 ti ta da ta. Now forward ti ta ta ram. See, but this goes from it has to go there. So don't take it literally. Because you have to go with all the energy you have to that place so that you have a very long descent. You see what I mean? It's really difficult to make this happen. It was written in values that, maybe this page should be reduced in half the size so you see the notes closer. Because I'm convinced that Henle isn't helping you here. By making it so beautiful and so readable, it gives us the sense that there is so much time to produce these notes. But if they were written in a smaller notation, you'd feel like an urge to... First of all, it's hard to sing it. If I do... Singers wouldn't breathe on the pause. I'm out of oxygen. If you sing it for yourself, you won't get to the end. Yes, and without too much of this, right? Let this soften this as you... It's not about flattening the fingers, it's about softening the wrist so that it allows this motion to exist. This. Yes. Now, absolute in tempo. Thinking here, you're not. You. Should I make it louder? How can you describe a sunset with soft or loud or red and blue? How can you describe an apotheosis? You must feel an apotheosis. Continue. Free the arm. You lost me. Yeah, it's a ta-ra-ra-ree. Why is your triplet ta-ra-ra? Yeah, look, basically, look, you have this is Chopin. That's all. Right? What is it? The Etude Opus 25, number 5. That's where it comes from. It's Chopin. So it should have that. Of course, Liszt makes it more grandiloquent, but because his plan is not an etude, his plan is a legend. It's something big. So also Liszt wrote for orchestra. Chopin didn't. His attempts in orchestration have been highly criticized. In fact, this Chopin number 1 has been reorchestrated by Paul Chihara, where the second theme of the first movement has clarinets. So, in other words, not to criticize, but Schumann and Chopin had a few, they were fighting with the orchestration in some ways, whereas Liszt was brilliant with the orchestra, And so you can imagine, calm, I don't know the notes of what is. The last one you can delay a little bit if you want, right? But try even this one when you start slow. Yeah, so it has to be really very symphonic. Slow down. You know why you cannot slow? Because you're doing this. There is no return of your arm. If you do this, you're conducting. Why in tempo? It should be more epic. Ram, pam, pam, pam. then you have a timpani. Yeah. Wait. Now listen to the part. Yeah, okay. It's much more epic this way. You have to calm down a little bit when you play this music. When we play fast, our brain gets very full of trying to control the gestures. I understand it's really difficult, but then if you record yourself and you try to conduct this, I was trying and I always have to follow you. Instead, you should follow the gesture. In other words, you were a little bit ahead of me when you do. So follow the gesture because it's so grand. It shouldn't feel squeezed. It should feel like you see something great. So go and see Niagara Falls or something, go see the Grand Canyon and go like, wow, something spectacular. That's what the vision of this ending is. It's an astounding crescendo, and although he writes accelerando, it should never be a detriment to the apotheotic feeling of the piece. It's possible to do accelerando, sure. If the sound doesn't change and is still very tender like this, it's even more exciting. But if the accelerando causes the sound to become more strident in any way, it changes from that warmth that it's supposed to be a very positive end. And I think that certain keys with Liszt have association. I think E major with the divine, right? Yeah, so you know that. Good for you. Where did you read that?
The Consolation.
The Consolation. Ah, yes. You're right. Even number 2. You're right. And even 5, I think. Yes. Oh, that's right. Good for you. So you're very smart and knowledgeable. And I think that's why a smart and knowledgeable person adding notes to Liszt, what do you do that for? Don't do that. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, brother.